Story 1. Original post. Am I the a-hole here for ghosting my ex-fiance's dad after she said no and left me at the altar? I, 21 male, was orphaned around 6 years ago in March of 2019 after a horrific car accident where my whole family were unalived. At that time, I was in a 2-month relationship with my now ex-fiance's, and she stood with me more than anyone else did, and her whole family took me in as one of their own, but especially her father. He treated me just as he did his 2 sons, if not even better. And I loved him, and still love him as a dad, and I've been working with him for over 2 years now because he's a lawyer, and I'm studying law. And over here you have to work in a law firm to get experience in order to graduate, and you usually don't get paid for it, but he pays me minimum wage, which is way more than he has to, and I love him for that. Living alone for that long, however, was lonely, even though I had a loving second family. But I wanted marriage for her to move in with me, and to not be alone anymore. And when I proposed last year, she happily accepted, and we kissed, and her family were so happy for both of us. And then our supposed wedding came in this past June, and in front of our whole family and friends she said no, and ran outside crying. And I just stood there feeling like this was all just a dream. But no, it was reality. She destroyed me that day. Her parents went after her as I stood there seeing all those people whispering and looking at me. And I just snapped. I went home and threw all her stuff away that was already there, and then went straight to the airport to go to our honeymoon alone, because it was expensive as hell, and most of the trip was non-refundable, and I had already lost a lot of money in the failed marriage. Her family kept trying to get in contact with me over the next 2 weeks, but I deactivated all my socials. Even after I returned home, I couldn't bring myself to see any of them, so I even avoided work. I live in a small village where everyone knows everyone and everyone here talks. And ever since that day, people made me this evil bastard that forced this innocent little girl into marrying. But she heroically saved herself, which is all bullcrap. I never even raised my voice over her. Life then went on, and I found another lawyer to do my internship with. And he was nowhere near as good as my ex-fiance's dad, but it wasn't that bad. And they stopped trying to reach out to me, and people stopped talking about the whole thing, and it felt like it's just moving on. When suddenly around 2 weeks ago, I was chilling at home alone at night, and her dad came over. I of course welcomed him in and offered coffee, and he accepted. Before we could talk, he started apologizing for his daughter, saying she got cold feet at the last second and refused, and that he too wasn't proud of her and wasn't happy about the whole situation. And I told him it was none of his fault, and that I'm sorry for ghosting him, but it just was painful to be around him, especially since she looks so much like him, even though I still love him. He asked me whether I like to come back and work with him, even if I just want our relationship to just be a work relationship, because he loves me like a son and doesn't want to lose that, and I told him I'd think about it. Am I the a-hole because of how I reacted, and should I return to work with him? Any help would be appreciated. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I'd say it's completely normal to need some space and time after something like that. You should accept his offer, though. He cared enough to go find you. True. Don't let her ruin your friendship, but also make sure that he knows you don't want to talk to or hear about your ex for a while. You needed time to process, and you did. Take up the opportunity as it sounds like a good one, but you need to also set some boundaries that will work for you, such as not hearing about his daughter. She will move on one day, or she will try to make contact with you. If you have truly moved forward, then it won't matter so much. If you feel it will derail you, then you do need to think about that. Not the a-hole. You were hurt. It's understandable how you reacted. You said he was the better lawyer and you loved him like a dad. Don't let what his daughter did affect even more of your future. It sounds like he can give you a better future, so do that. It's a shame your ex-fiance didn't feel like she could speak up sooner, and getting left at the altar would be horrific. I'm so sorry for all of your loss. I hope you are in therapy. Best of luck, OP. I wish I could afford therapy, man. I need it bad. It's too expensive, and I put almost all my money into what was supposed to be our house and wedding and the honeymoon. Not the a-hole for your reaction, it's definitely warranted. Plus, you reacted in a very sensible way. You took time for yourself, got space from the situation and people that hurt you, instead of reacting and doing or saying something you would regret. Although just to note, when talking about proposing to your ex-fiance, sounds like you proposed for all the wrong reasons anyway. You were lonely and wanted to latch on to be seemingly around her family more than her, and maybe she realized that at the altar. Yes, I did care about her family more than other guy would, but I still loved her more than anything, and I never did anything wrong to hurt her, or at least I think so. And yes, I wanted to get married young, but it wasn't like we just met. We've been together for 6 years at that point, and we've known each other forever since we were also classmates. And she said she didn't have a problem with it, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. Not the a-hole. You responded as was to be expected, but honestly, since you said he is way better than the firm you are with now, go back and work on your life. Screw her. Don't let her ruin your life anymore by working at a mediocre firm just because the best one is her dad. Just tell him you will be back, but you have no interest in seeing her or talking to her. If they can promise that, go and get the best of the best. Thank you, you are right. She took so much away from me, I wouldn't let her take this too. Dude, what? Forget about her. This guy is a golden ticket. He cares about you, he recognizes your value, and he is the best lawyer around to intern for. Plus, think of how annoying it would be for her to get occasional updates about how well his intern is crushing it, when that is you. Get the F back to his office toot sweet. Update. So after reading all of your comments, I decided to talk to him, and I did. We went out to a local coffee shop and talked. I told him I'd love to work with him again, but with only one condition, which is to not mention his daughter and what she's doing with her life, and to please not invite me to events she'll be present at, and he accepted. He told me that he too was embarrassed and shamed after the wedding, and that he's sad and disappointed it didn't work out between us, and that he understands why I don't want to hear about her. Then he asked about how I'm doing, and where will I be celebrating the new year, and I told him I'll do it alone at home, which was the first time I ever did it, because for the last 5 years, I always celebrated with them, and he was sad and said he'd have loved to celebrate with me as his son-in-law, and I told him to say happy holidays to the whole family, except her, of course. Then we left. Thanks for all the comments and love, and Happy New Year to all of you. Now for the comments. It sounds like you needed that time to process everything and get the closure you deserved. It's good that you were able to talk things through with him, but it's totally understandable that you want to avoid anything involving your ex. It's not petty, just self-care. Not the a-hole. You set a healthy boundary and handled it maturely. It's sweet that he values your bond, but your mental health comes first. Happy New Year to you too. Good for you. If he's willing, perhaps he could also do his part in reversing the narrative out there that you're to blame for her actions. I'm so sorry to hear about what you've been through at such a young age, brother. But I'm happy to see you've made the right decision for your future. Your family would not want to see you sad and unhappy. You need to keep taking care of yourself now. Do what makes you happy and live the best life you can for your family. All the best of luck, strength, and resolve going forward, bro. Happy New Year. Not the a-hole, but also, 21-year-olds should not be getting married. Please give yourself time to grow up and marry someone you love. It sounds like you set some clear boundaries and handled the situation maturely. I'm glad you could have an honest conversation with him and move forward on his terms. Dad sounds like a level-headed gem, hoping for all the best for you in the new year. Not the a-hole, of course. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she can't be everyone's favorite and being our parents' favorite should be enough? I, 17 male, fought with my sister, 15 female, the other day and got kicked out by my parents because of it. I might have gone too far, so I'm here to find out. My parents treated my sister like the favorite. She was the kid who couldn't get into trouble, who could wrap them around her finger and get away with hell. But the favoritism mostly showed in them spoiling her and dedicating 1.1 time for her, while they never made much of an effort with me. She gets pulled out of school early, usually 1 to 2 times a month for a hangout with one of our parents, and sometimes they pull her out for family time. I never get pulled out of school for stuff like that. My parents make a bigger deal out of my sister's birthday, and she gets a choice for her birthday parties. I always had to go for what my parents chose for me. Sometimes they just let my sister choose what we should do for my birthday, and there are 5 years I can easily say the birthday was for her and not me, because I hated it. One time it was this tea party place. Another time it was a spa. Like, yeah, I was there, but it wasn't about me. When we were way younger, the other thing was, she had to get at least 2 presents to open during my party, or someone else's party. My parents always talk about how proud they are of my sister. They have pinned her art on our schedule board. They post about every report card she gets. My grades are better and more consistent, but she still gets all the praise. My sister could be invited for an all-girl cousin sleepover. My parents never let me go to an all-boy one unless my sister could be invited. Another thing was aunts and uncles could invite her to hang out with cousins without me, but not me without her. The only people who were allowed to have just me were my paternal grandparents. They fought my parents to have special time with me. They always try to make me feel less unwanted. They spoil me a little. They show up to support me every time I have a competition I'm in, and sometimes they can get other family to come too. They always make sure I get a wanted birthday present and Christmas present, because my parents don't make the same effort, while my sister might get 5 to 6 wants each time. They tried to include my sister sometimes, but she never wanted to come, and they never pushed it. But she was invited, and my grandparents didn't completely ignore her. My sister has gloated about our parents not getting me any good presents, or about how she has all the control for my birthday celebrations, or that I never get to pick the takeout place like she does, sometimes. She said our parents don't like spending time with me either since I never join in on family stuff. She's jealous about it now, and has complained to me about it since September 20th, when she wanted me to know it wasn't fair. I was getting so much cool stuff from them when she got nothing. The thing she complained about was a refurbished $150 laptop they got me for school before Christmas because my parents wouldn't replace my old one that my grandparents bought, and they weren't okay with me using the family computer. But guess who could use mine when hers broke? Yeah. Anyway, she complained about it and then complained even more when I got stuff to customize my PS5 and some other stuff for Christmas. She told me they never get her all the cool stuff she wants. She complained about it, and then the other day I snapped when she told me I'm so the favorite, and how crappy that is, and how much I suck and they suck for having a favorite. She said she didn't do anything to not be. I told her she can't be everyone's favorite and being our parents' favorite should be enough. My sister told me I was a jerk for saying that, and I told her at least I'm not a selfish, entitled princess, and she already gets practically everything she wants off her wish list, so why is she complaining when I get 1 or 2 things that I want? I told her she knows our parents don't do crap for me. I told her she's not even a good sister, but at least she's their favorite, right? She started screaming at the top of her lungs that she hated me, and our parents came in and asked what the fight was about. And when they heard I called her their favorite and told her she can't be everyone's favorite, they said I needed to leave. I'm at my grandparents' house and my sister texted me once saying I had no right to say all those mean things to her, and I hurt her feelings. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. This is a pretty standard sibling argument. Your parents kicked you out of the house for this? They and your sister are complete pieces of crap. I sincerely hope OP stays gone from them. Almost 18 years old apparently, the grandparents will be supportive. Not the a-hole. I want to, and I'm hoping my parents just don't try and make me move back in. That's the last thing I want. You're old enough that if your grandparents will allow you to stay, you shouldn't have to go back. Talk honestly with your grandparents and tell them what you want. Block your parents and sister if you can. You do need things like your birth certificate and other important documents, though. In my opinion, you don't need to apologize to your sister or to your parents. If they are willing to talk, tell them honestly why you feel like you feel. Don't apologize for what you said or for your feelings. You're not wrong. They don't care. Once it upset or annoyed my sister enough to make her scream, I was done for. Their favorite could not be called out like that. My parents got my brothers every fancy electronics and games and computers every year, and I would get a sweater, a few books, and maybe pajamas or a shirt. You are most definitely not the a-hole. I understand what it's like to not be included and to have a favorite sibling. It's rough. Your parents are crappy, and I'm sorry that's the hand you were dealt. Thanks. It hurt a lot more when I was younger, and I couldn't figure out why they wanted time with her but not me. Now I'm just so annoyed by it. I would go no contact. I'm hoping I can. Assuming my parents don't try to make me go back, I don't think I'll reply or reach out, and I'll block the three of them soon if things stay calm. Not the a-hole, and frankly, this is your parents' fault. Your parents should have let you choose what you wanted to do for your birthdays and let you go to all-boys sleepovers without your sister. My parents would never let me enjoy something without my sister. They only care about her being included and having fun. I don't know if they'd care if the whole family excluded me as long as my sister wasn't. When you don't keep in touch with them, you can do a lot of things without her. I can and I want to. There's so much I'd like to be able to focus on without the whole being preoccupied by that crap. Not the a-hole. And depending on where you live, your parents likely did something illegal when kicking you out since you're a minor. Oh yeah, it's illegal to make your kid homeless when they're under 18 where I live. Ask your parents if you can take a DNA test and say you want to confirm you're not an affair child. Yep, I was wondering the same thing. OP, it might be worth it to talk to your grandparents and say something like, "They treat me like I'm not even their son." Or maybe, "They treat me like they never even wanted me." And just see if there's some family secret that comes out that they've been hiding from you. I'd hate for that to be the case, but if it is something like that, then at least you'll know more about why these truly awful people treat you so effing badly. Big hugs from a mom who would never let any child be treated like that. Consider me an auntie who's praying for you to succeed, just to rub it in all their faces. I already did that before. My grandparents have assured me I'm their biological grandchild and the biological child of my parents. They don't understand why they treat me like this. Apparently it wasn't like this before my sister was born or for the first year of her life, but then they did pour all their love and attention to her and pushed me aside. Not the a-hole. I doubt they even have college fund for you. If they have taken it and leave and go no contact. If they don't, just go no contact. They don't have a college fund for me. Story 3. Am I the a-hole here for not attending my sister's wedding because of her child-free rule? So my 34 male sister, 29 female, recently got married. It was a huge, fancy event, and she spent the past year planning every single detail. One of her main rules was that it would be a child-free wedding. I completely understand and respect that. It's her wedding, her rules. Here's the thing. I'm a single dad to my son, 6 male. I don't have much of a support system, and his mom isn't in the picture. When I got the invite, I told my sister I'd love to come but explained my situation. I asked if there was any way I could bring my son, or if not, if she'd be willing to help me cover a babysitter for the day since it would require an overnight trip. She shut both ideas down immediately, saying, "It's not her responsibility," and to figure it out like everyone else. Fair enough. But I genuinely couldn't find anyone to watch him. I even offered to hire a sitter to stay with him in the hotel during the ceremony and reception, but my sister still said no, claiming it violated the spirit of her child-free rule. So I let her know I couldn't make it. She was furious and told me I was being selfish, that I should have made it work. The wedding went on, and I didn't attend. Now my entire family is blowing up my phone, calling me an a-hole for missing such an important day. My sister won't speak to me, and my parents are saying I should have tried harder or just left him with someone for one night. Am I the a-hole here for standing my ground and not going when I couldn't bring my son or find a sitter? Edit for clarification. To those asking if I could have left him with a friend or someone else, I genuinely don't have anyone I trust to leave him with overnight. Edit 2. I also want to add that my sister has met my son maybe twice and has never really taken an interest in my life as a single parent. This wasn't just about the wedding. It feels like a bigger issue about her lack of empathy. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister is allowed to decide who is invited to her wedding, but since she chose not to allow any children, she has to understand if people who have children cannot attend. It was an invitation, not a command. Agreed. She can decide the guest list, but if no kids are allowed, it's understandable that some can't come. Not the a-hole. She can have the wedding she wants, but she can't control who attends. You made a decision based on your situation, and your family should respect that. Not the a-hole. If the whole family is at the wedding, and your sister said no to you hiring a sitter to stay at the hotel, then you had no other options. You can't just leave your child with a random stranger overnight for your sister's wedding, and anyone expecting you to do that is a dumb person. You did everything you could do. It sounds like your sister actually didn't want you there, but wanted the drama of, look what you've done to my special day. Not the a-hole. Part of parenting is outing your child before other people. I've missed a couple weddings for the same reason. When people have child-free weddings, they have to accept that some people just can't make it. You did the right thing, and your son is very lucky to have such an attentive and caring father. Ignore your family. Your son comes first. I agree with you. Parenting means putting your child first. Child-free weddings are a choice, but you made the right call. Your son is lucky to have you.
Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.